Well, hello there, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Your last day of school or work this week went by relatively fast, and you are about to start a fantastic weekend. So, Loser Corn, let me get this straight. You had that typed out or copy pasted, waiting for me to show my face so you could serenade me with the Witcher theme. Is that correct? Is that is that what we were going for here? I mean, admitting is the first step, right? Okay, so today I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. One of the things that I've kind of struggled on is trying to like make YouTube videos in between streams. As I said on Twitter, I unfortunately have got caught up playing some games that I didn't get to play because of World of Warcraft, and I'm hooked on like Dragon Age 2, for example, right now. And like I don't get a lot of spare time, and I found myself having a hard time motivated to play YouTube when there's such a great story to play. Um, but what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to do two birds with one stone. I'm going to hop on the 3x3 trend that's going around right now. So I don't know if you guys know what that is, but a bunch of Twitch streamers slash YouTubers or whatever have posted what they call just the games that shape them. They have all different names for it, but it's the games that shape me, and it's a 3x3 grid of the games that kind of they're either their favorite games or the games that really influenced them as they grew up and influenced their tastes. So may not even necessarily be the best games they've played, but the most important games they've played. So I figured instead of just hopping right into the game, I'd chat with you guys for a little bit about what my 3x3 square looks like. And if you guys chime in with what some of the games are important to you, or have suggestions of maybe, because I have like 7 games right off the top of my head that would go in here, which means there's like 2 that are like iffy. But you guys can feel free to chat, ask questions about the games that I'm about to put into this square. Oh, my baby's not asleep. I have to look after the baby. I have the baby monitor here with me. My baby's not asleep. She went to bed, but she takes a little while to go down, so you might hear a whine here and there. So yeah, so why don't we just start talking? Why don't we start talking about the games that meant a lot to me? Thanks so much for the serenade, Loser Corner. I'm touched by singing about The Witcher. Okay, so let's go into the logo mode. Let's move this chat box up a little bit. I don't think this chat's gonna be too active that I need it. And right here. Okay, so we have the secret weapon of any streamer, MS Paint. Because I don't know how to use Photoshop, so we're just going to just slum it up here, guys, and we're gonna use some MS Paint. I could be Devin Nash and just pull out a notepad and try to like ASCII my 3x3 square. All right, so Loser Corner, you're in the chat. Why don't we get one of the obvious games out of the way here? What do you think is an obvious game that would go in my 3x3 square, huh? And I think it's a pretty obvious one. Well, that's not it. That is most certainly not it. But yeah, if you have, what do you think is the obvious one here? Why am I getting follow-botted by so much lately. It's pissing me off. Moom, well, that was probably a typo, or you did that on purpose. I don't know, but, yeah, so I think it is, pretty safe to say. So I got to go ahead and do a little snippy snip. I don't know if they count as followers, and even if they do, I kind of delete them. Alright, can I fit it in the square nice and snug here? There you go. It's a little bit stretched, but whatever. Ultimate Doom. Obviously, Doom. Doom was the game that I would actually credit as the game that got me into games. Like, you know, the NES games that I played originally when I was young were great and everything, and obviously fun. But, like, very few games hooked me the way that Doom did. And the funny thing is like, I was hooked before I was even allowed to play this game. Because Dad used to play this when I was, like, six, something like that. When I was like 6 or 7, my dad would play this, and it would piss my mom off that he would let us watch him play this game because it was too violent. Because my mom was unaware of the graphical technology of games that would come sooner or later. So she thought Ultimate Doom was too violent. But what about the devil getting the boys? That game will put the devil in them. So, but we used to watch Dad play this, and it was so cool. Like, the game was so cool to me. When I watched him play, like, I couldn't wait to play it. And finally, when Dad let us play it, I don't know how old we were, like 11 or something. So we like watched him play it for 4 years. But it was just so much fun watching him play, and then playing it myself, and playing Doom 2, and playing all the custom WADs. I just loved it. Well, yeah, see, that was the whole thing. Mom was okay with Wolfenstein, but you were shooting Nazis. that was a just thing. She didn't know what these demons were, right? She had no idea what these demons were, so, you know, that might have been... That may not have been appropriate as far as she was concerned. And I mean, like, even now, obviously, with the fact I stream Doom and have a lot of fun with Doom, Doom is just a fantastically fun game. Like, I don't know of another game that, as old as it, that I can constantly just hop back into and almost enjoy every minute of it. And the modding community is so great, and they make all these fantastic WADs for it. Which obviously is what's helping keep this game alive as much as it is. I just love it so much. It's a perfect blend of unrealism but fun. So many shooters today try to be like realistic, and then they're not nearly as fun. So I think I much more enjoy like this sort of like arcade shooting or arena shooting that is Doom, right? Just so little I have to care about. Don't got to care about reloading. Just go in there and blow everything away. And that's what I loved about Doom 2016. It tried to recapture that feeling of just running in and blowing everything up. But Doom is just such a smooth experience, even going back and playing it on like its original technology with its like blurry ass graphics. Like, it's just a smooth play, and I really enjoyed it. And still back then, and I really enjoy it now. And now that I'm really good at it compared to what I was back then, so I can play even more like difficult WADs. Okay, so who wants to take a guess, Jay or Loser Corner? Do you guys want to take a guess at what my second game would be? Or what you believe my second game would be? Let's see if I can find a decent picture to snip while you guys guess. This one will have to do. It's not square, so not perfect, but Final Fantasy VI, Super Mario World. Yes, but something way more obvious than that. Why don't we just go ahead and paste it? Quake Episode 4. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Copy. There it is. Now, barring the fact that World of Warcraft is, and Blizzard in general are not in people's good graces right now. And yes, Jay, I kind of expected that reaction out of you, just an ew. But the thing about World of Warcraft, and it's the problem that Classic can't really emulate this at all. But the actual experience of playing World of Warcraft when it first came out, when the game wasn't already solved, when there wasn't as much emphasis on, you know, speed of getting things done and optimizations and shit like that. Playing this game, despite all its time sinks, despite some of its really outdated gameplay, well, I mean, it wasn't really outdated then, but it's outdated gameplay, my best gaming memories are playing this game. And it's such a bummer to see the game decrease in quality the way that it did. And then I was excited as everybody else to play Classic and Classic BC and everything like that, but unfortunately you can't really capture that original feeling because the game is solved, because the player base of today is different than the player base of yesteryear, right? But this was just so much fun. It was my first MMO and my only MMO actually, and it was so cool. Like, I made friends with people in this game that I still talk to off and on today, even though we haven't played this game together in forever. And like I said, my favorite gaming memories are in here. My guild that I actually ended up running was just a band of absolute misfits who could barely coordinate enough to defeat any bosses in a raid dungeon. But I absolutely loved the feeling of going in with them and trying to beat bosses. And there was a time eventually in the third expansion, Cataclysm, where we actually defeated the final boss of the expansion clean, right? Not waiting until 2 expansions later and going back and killing him later. We killed him clean in that expansion, and that collective experience and excitement of us all of us defeating that boss together. My dad was there; he was part of the group, right? So to have that experience with a member of my family was amazing. Like, we were so hyped, and no feeling of hype I've never gotten that feeling of hype from another game since. And that is a bit of a drag, right? That there's games that were made better, objectively more fun, but they can't capture that teamwork epicness, I guess, of World of Warcraft. And I did enjoy the story for many years, and even some of the gameplay that, looking back on now, was garbage. Like, it was to me a lot of fun, and as someone who loved RPGs, this was a fantastic RPG. It's just the memories that I made in the game are just keep me from ever hating it, despite what it's turned into. Like, Blizzard aside, the game is now just basically garbage. It's so hard to have fun in this game the way that I did years ago. Like, it's actually, it's not even hard. It's impossible to have fun the way that I used to. So, I have to put it on this list because it did shape me, and it was one of the greatest experiences in gaming that I've ever had, was playing this game. So it has to go on this list. Even though this is not a game I would recommend anybody play now. But it's a game that shaped me and was very, very important to me. Alright, let's mix it up with something a little bit more recent. It's still, like, old-ish, but more recent than these two. So let's see. Jay, I don't know if you're still listening. But, if you want to take a guess, this is the game that launched 1,000 YouTube careers. And yes, I'm aware that's, like, a little bit vague if you're not up on, like, early YouTube days, but... Mario Maker? No, I actually didn't play a lot of Mario. Well, like, the original Mario Maker was on the Wii U, which I never owned. And that didn't launch 1,000 YouTube careers. Probably launched a couple. But it certainly didn't launch 1,000. Let's see. I want to find, like, a decent... I want to find, like, a decent version of this logo that I can show. Okay, this one's pretty good. Ooh, Gary's Mod. I actually, again, I didn't play a lot of Gary's Mod. That was something Zach, my brother, played. He loved himself some Gary's Mod. But you're in the wrong genre. And no, it's not Minecraft either, because Minecraft didn't exactly launch a lot of careers. All right, let's see here. There it is. So many YouTube careers launched by this game. I'm unfortunately snipping some of the logos up here, but that's fine. That's fine. Okay, Amnesia. So, if you guys have not played Amnesia and don't know what it is, it's actually a horror game that was released 2012, somewhere around there. And I'm someone who loves horror. I love horror movies. I love horror games. I don't get scared very often, mind you, or like at all, for the most part. I can get startled watching horror movies or playing horror games, but I don't get, like, legitimately scared. The closest I've probably ever come is this game. And I just love this game for it daring to do something different, because when it came to horror, the trend for years before Amnesia was survival horror. Any horror game that came out had to have some sort of, like, survival mechanic where, like, you shoot zombies or you actually, it was mostly shooting zombies. That's actually the whole horror genre was shooting zombies. So to have a game come out where there was no combat, you could not fight off any of the things that could kill you. Your only option was to run. And it was a game that gave me such, like, a tenseness. Like, my butthole was clenched the whole time playing this game. That's not to say Resident Evil 0 was a bad game, or any of the Resident Evil games were bad games, but they're not horror in the way that I feel that horror should be. Like, for example, Amnesia was made by the same company that did the game called Penumbra. And the very first Penumbra game the very first Penumbra game actually had, you know, the roots of the Amnesia gameplay, and that there were like spooky monsters that could chase you and kill you, and you were kind of meant to run. But I did find a way that you could use objects in the world to kill the enemies, not just slow them down, to legitimately kill them. And the moment that I found out I could kill them, all the horror left. Because now there was just a legitimate way of getting through the game without having to worry about being killed by the enemies. And so even if something like snuck up on you, I could turn around with a rock and just bash them to death. Now, it was a little bit difficult to kill them. Yeah, it was only the first game. The second game, they got rid of that, which is why I actually like the second one better, as convoluted as its story was a bit. The fact that you could kill the enemies took all the horror out. Like, it was difficult to kill them because it wasn't meant to be a combat game, so you weren't really meant to try and do that. But why would I not do that once I figured out how to do it? Right? It was you basically. Because then you can just make the game so much easier on yourself if you take the time to kill them. And once you learn how to do it, it's not that hard to continuously do it. So, the fact that Amnesia was eventually made, with its absolutely spooky atmosphere, it's really like horrific looking monsters, but no way to defend yourself, and running was the only option. And I remember there's one scene in the game, spoilers for like a 10-year-old game, there's a point in the game where you're running from this like water monster that you can't see. Like, look it up on YouTube. It sounds dumb if I try to explain what it is. But there's a point where 10 what? Did I say the number 10? 10 what? Oh, 15? Jeez, is that old? Shit. I really am old. Okay. I'm talking about Amnesia, not Penumbra, but whichever. It might be 15 years old. Hang on, I'll just look it up. Why am I guessing? 2010. So technically, I was closer to being right. Yeah, no, yeah, the Penumbra's like 15. But I said spoilers for a 10-year-old game when I was talking about Amnesia. There's a point in Amnesia when you're running from a water monster. And like I said, YouTube it. If I try to explain it, it's going to sound dumb. But trust me on this. There's a water monster you're running from. And there's a point where there's no way to get away from it. Previously in the game, you would get on top of a box or something that was in the water and it couldn't catch you. So you're kind of playing like a cat and mouse game with it. But in this particular sequence, you had no option but to run. So you ran, and there was doors in your way that you had to open and try to shut behind you to slow the monster down. And the entire time I'm running, you don't want to look back, because you don't want to see how close that thing is. I had this such tense feeling, because I felt like the monster was like right there behind me. And that kind of feeling, that tense, like, feeling that Amnesia gave me was something I had never been able to experience before. And I've been kind of chasing that feeling ever since, because Amnesia's sequels didn't really do that. The first sequel that came out wasn't even made by the same company, and it showed. It was pretty meh. And when they finally made the third one, which was made by the original creators, it was a good game, but it didn't capture that same horror feeling that I had become accustomed to. It was actually kind of a weird tone game, really. I said it had a sequel, but it was weird toned, and so I had to put this on the list because it's still, to me, and I've played horror games or watched people play horror games on YouTube since, and nothing has actually come close, I think, to this game, to giving me that sort of horror vibe that I look for when I'm playing a horror game. Alright, let's move on. Let's see here. Okay, yeah. One second, I'm getting messages from my wife. Just 1 second. I'll be right back. Wife is asking me to order food for her. She's working late today. Alright, sorry about that. I am back. Alright. So, let's move on to the next game. Let's see. Gotta try and find a... Oh, this is a good one. All right. So my next one, good old Half-Life 2. So I'm assuming everybody's heard of the Half-Life franchise. Like, come on, it was like the biggest deal in PC video game like history. And I gotta say that when it came to first-person shooters, the original Half-Life just knocked almost every other FPS out of the park. Like, Doom is like dumb fun when you compare it to Half-Life 2 the original Half-Life. And the original Half-Life was just an experience in FPS games. And I absolutely loved it. I loved how they integrated story into the game, which was something that was very rare for FPS games. I loved the enemy design. I loved the gameplay. It was just fantastic. And then when I never played Half-Life 2 as soon as it came out. But I remember thinking when I first heard about it, like, oh, this the sequel doesn't have like nearly the amount of aliens and stuff like that, and I was kind of put off initially. I was like, well, then what is it about? What could it, like, do I even want to play it if it's trying to get that far away? Like, because then it felt like, okay, you're killing humans for the most part, so is it just evolving into a normal shooter? And finally, when I did play Half-Life 2, holy shit, how much fun it was. I could not get over how good a game Half-Life 2 was. The Doom 3 killer. Every FPS killer. Like, if you really think about it, there's no FPS that came before that could stand up to it. And there's so many FPSs that have come out since that can't stand up to this game. Exactly. Like I said, Doom is the ultimate dumb fun. And it's so easy to get into, so easy to make mods for, and you can just jump in, have a brand new experience, and it's great. But Half-Life 2 is, in my opinion, the best FPS game that's ever been created. The Doom modding community is much, like, I think, better at, you know, keeping the game alive, but Half-Life 2 itself is great. Now, that doesn't mean Half-Life 2 doesn't have some outdated mechanics. The enemy AI is a little bit bonkers compared to nowadays. And the actual textures are a little bit dated. But no game and no FPS has, like, melded story and just fast-paced FPS gameplay so well before. Right? Yeah, exactly. Doom, you just boot up and you start killing shit. That's... right? You just boot in and you're like, boom, let's start killing bitches. But Half-Life 2 melded story and first-person shooters so well, and the world that it built was amazing because it didn't explain everything to you, right? You just wake up, you're in this fucked up dystopian future, rolled over by like an alien race you don't know anything about. Everyone talks to you, the protagonist, as if you know what's going on, but you've been like stasis for like 20 fucking years or whatever it is. So you're just stumbling through like, yeah, I know what you're all talking about. So the game doesn't like explain and give you history lessons. It lets you try to fill in the blanks yourself, and you're probably wrong. Like from whatever was in the head of the writers. But it, like, Exactly, Jay. It was an epic experience, and nothing like that had been done before. And I still feel like no first-person shooter has ever been able to match Half-Life 2 in that epic, in that epicness. You remember when the walker attacked the outpost, and it was just like unlike anything I'd ever seen before. It's hard to describe to anyone that wasn't around for it when it came out. Well, that's just the problem, isn't it? Nowadays, some games will try to do like similar things, but I feel like, and if you go back, if you were like born after this game came out and you've been playing games, this game might seem quaint, but I still feel in terms of the way that it melded story and action and shifted tones. That was the thing that was crazy to me, how it shifted tones. How it went from, dystopian future to straight up horror game. Ravenholm is the most fucked up level I've ever played in an FPS. It's terrifying, but so fun. With the gravity gun, which was the best weapon ever created in a game, okay? No other weapon in any FPS or any game ever lets me kill people with toilets, alright? I could kill bitches by pulling a toilet off the wall and throw it in their face. Like, Control doesn't even let me do that. The toilets are firmly in the wall. I can't grab toilets. Right? I just loved everything about Half-Life 2. I don't think I'll find a first-person shooter that will feel as cool to me as this one did. There will be things about, like, certain aspects of a shooter that might be cooler than some of the things in Half-Life 2, but there will never be, I think, a game that ever grabs me the way that Half-Life 2 did. Completely. Yeah, it reminded you of playing Ocarina for the first time. It was innovative and things you'd never seen before. Exactly. Now, I think you have a much bigger fondness for Ocarina than I do, but yes, same deal. All right. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is... I think with this next game, it's gonna, like... If you've been paying... Like, when you look at what's up here right now, the game I'm probably gonna put here is gonna confuse the living shit out of everybody. But, I mean, I can't not include it. Young me would just not appreciate it if I didn't. Ocarina is definitely your number one. Or maybe Deus Ex. Yeah, you're old. I'd say it's Ocarina. Deus Ex for how great it was, Jesus, the immersion gets ruined by that terrible voice acting. Ocarina of Time avoided voice acting and avoided that problem altogether. Deus Ex, like, you can be so into the story, so into the gameplay, and then someone talks and you're like, Jesus Christ, I cannot handle how dumb this voice acting is. What is it, when you go to China? Oh, the voice actor for like the voice actor who did what that Chinese lady that I run into in China did not do a Chinese accent. She did what a racist thinks a Chinese person sounds like. Jesus. So I think you need to say Ocarina is number one because I can't handle the voice acting in Deus Ex. Anyway, let's move on to the next one, and... Oh, gotta recopy here. If any game needs to be redone due to horrid graphics, voice acting, and broken mechanics, yeah, it's Deus Ex. But would it capture that quaintness at the same time if you remade it? Anyway, here we go, next game. Boom. Boom. Best game on the SNES. Fight me. Fight me. Super Mario RPG, I think, in terms of pure unadulterated fun, this is the most fun I've had playing a game. Fight me, Jay. I don't care. I like. No. No. 4 and 5, 4 and 6, like 4 and 6, or 6 especially, was a fantastic game, but 6 still was more of a story-driven game, like you would expect from a Final Fantasy game. Had good mechanics and was fun, but I think in terms of like this game's story is not deep. This is the most basic ass story you can probably put into a game and still call it an RPG. But in terms of just raw fun, that game right there trumps everything on the Super Nintendo. Don't care. Fight me. I mean, from the way the... Now, what you will say is that MRPG had a lot of surprising gameplay mechanics and hidden quests. Well, exactly. Because when you think of an RPG like 6 or 4, you say, okay, I'm going to cast this spell on that enemy. And then your character will cast that spell on that enemy. Right? Fuck it right up. But it won't... But that's all it is. You say, do this, do it here. Right? And the game takes care of the rest. Super Mario RPG makes you part of the combat with the timed hits, with the timed defenses. You don't just sit there and wait for your turn. You don't sit there and just do something and sit back. You are actively playing the game in combat, which I think was amazing. And all other RPGs, I think, didn't want to do that, because once our Super Mario RPG did it, it seemed childish. I don't know. It wasn't until like South Park Stick of Truth came out that I think I remember seeing anything like that again. And yes, and the hidden stuff is what I think also makes this game special. Because I'm actually watching the Game Grumps. The Game Grumps are actually playing this game for the first time. And as someone who's never actually watched somebody play Super Mario RPG from scratch, without me there telling them to where the cool shit was, it's amazing how much it's easy to miss in this game when you're just playing through it and not like exploring. But when you explore, there's so many cool things to find. There's a fucking hidden casino in this game. Okay? A casino. But it requires you to do a dungeon, go past the dungeon. It requires you to go past the dungeon, come back later, go to a specific floor where there's a dude where if you beat him at a certain game 12 times, he will give you the key to go to the casino, which is still hidden and you have to find it. And you have to beat a dude in there at a game 100 times and he gives you an overpowered item. Right? That was some bullshit, but when you found it and experienced it, holy shit was it cool. And there's even like little tiny fun things in it. You could go to a town where you can stay in a honeymoon suite, but the game lets you turn the light off and spend another night without leaving the room. But so you just can keep going to sleep. And I did this. I don't know why I did this when I first played it, but I thought it was funny that I could just go to bed without paying for the room. Little did I know that when Mario went back downstairs, I did have to pay for the room, and I didn't have enough coins, and I had to do a bellhop minigame in order to continue the game because I had to work off my debt. Right? Like, you find me another game, another RPG as awesome as Final Fantasy VI is, where I can end up being a bellhop because I thought I was beating the game system. Right? When it comes to pure fun, I think that's the best game on the SNES. 6 is probably objectively the best game on the SNES. But I'd say this game here. This here was more fun than 6. 6 just had an absolutely fantastic story, and also a lot of hidden things to find. But this here it's not deep. Boy, was it fun! Holy shit! Yeah, it was packed. It wasn't deep, but it was packed, and I loved it for that. All right. I've got 2 more games. Oops. I got 2 more games that are like I definitely have in my head right now. And then I might need your guys' help with the other 2. So let's do this game next. Yeah, this is a good picture. I'll use this one. Link to the Past was also SNES. I never actually played Link to the Past. You and I never owned it. And we relied on Mom and Dad for our games back then, and didn't buy it. Dad didn't buy it. Alright, next game. Mass Effect 2. Okay, that's gross. I don't know why it looked like that. Hang on. That got pixelated bad. Now, you didn't play this. Yes. And you are missing out. Well, I shouldn't say that. Because I actually don't like saying you're missing out. Because the reasons why I love this game is not the reason other people might love the game. Or people might hate it. But Mass Effect didn't want you to replay it 3 times. Your OCD made you replay it 3 times. You did that. You didn't have to do that. Well, there you go. You didn't have to do that. Only you felt like you had to do that. So Mass Effect 2 was a super big surprise to me. And it was a super big surprise because I played Mass Effect 1, and it took me a little while to play it. Like, a lot of people were playing Mass Effect, and I just never played it. And games that made you finish it to unlock higher difficulties is bullshit. Yes, but it was an epic story. They wanted you to play the story. They didn't want you to give up partway through because it was too hard. They wanted you to get through the story, I guess. But when I finally did play Mass Effect, which was like in 2014 or something like that, so the game was already like 6 years old or something. I absolutely loved it, and it was flawed, and like Jay said, had a lot of copy and paste side quests, which is obviously not great. But I absolutely loved the original Mass Effect. I thought it had a fantastic story. The characters were superbly written. I just loved the game. But I remember chatting with somebody at work while I was playing Mass Effect, and he said, so you haven't played 2 yet? And I said, no. And he's like, you're going to love Mass Effect, but you are going to absolutely love Mass Effect 2. To the point that you're actually going to dislike Mass Effect 1 comparatively. It had a terrible expansion. Yes, it did. Wait, which one? There were 2. There was one where you had to go to a moon, and then there was another one where it was just a bunch of arena fights. I don't know which one you're talking about. The arena fight one was garbage, and the moon one was not great, but I don't know if I call it garbage. Oh, right? Right, which one? No, the redefining one was bullshit. I absolutely hated it. That last encounter especially was just the stupidest thing I've ever done. Ugh. Anyway, with Mass Effect 2, it's initially a little bit put off when I first got into the game, because the mechanics were changed a lot. I shouldn't say a lot. Like the basic gun and run and spell casting were like the same sort of system, but the way you took cover, the fact you had to reload your gun all of a sudden, they put a reload mechanic back into the game when the first game didn't have a reload mechanic. I thought was kind of weird. And it stripped down some of the RPG elements, because in the first game you could take a weapon and customize it in every which way, which was not something you could do in the second one. The second one, you picked up a weapon and you went with it. So, I was at first a little bit put off. I was like, whoa, it looks like they're trying to dumb this game down. But when you get into this game, the thing that grabs you with Mass Effect 2 is it's probably the best written characters in any video game. And I shit you not when I say that. There's been a lot of games that I've played that have had fantastic stories with fantastic characters. The cast of characters in Mass Effect 2 is probably the closest to a perfect cast of characters I've ever played in a game. And that's a testament to how well BioWare's writers were at this time. Not now. At that time, the writing ability that they had at that company was absolutely out of this world. And it's such a fondly remembered game because of those characters. And I mean, like, I could jokingly say that the romanceable characters, you could be like, man, I fell in love with Talia, right? KOTOR 2. I actually don't think I played KOTOR 2. But same company, so it wouldn't surprise me if the characters were pretty on par. But the best unfinished game of all time. But besides just like the romanceable characters, like there's a character of Garrus who he was my best friend. Like by the time I finished the game, I was like, my real life best friends don't compare to how cool of a best friend Garrus is. Like, they simply had built you this character that was going to be your character, Shepard, the character that you control, that was going to be his best friend. No matter what you did, however you played your main character, Garrus became like your supportive friend. So no matter what, he was like the one character that you always felt like, I can talk to this guy gets me. He was my best friend. I took him everywhere. Yeah, I couldn't romance him because I played as male Shepard, and you can only romance him as female Shepard. Didn't care. Took him everywhere. He was my best friend, right? And the quality of the writing made it so that when I played this game, this is probably the last game I played where I played it and couldn't put it down. It was like a fantastic book where once you start reading, you can't put it down. That's how I felt playing this game, which sucked because I had a job at the time. Bullshit. Just like, as much as the gameplay was not super deep, I just couldn't wait to finish a mission and see where the story took me. And yes, Mass Effect 3 it ended on a really low note compared to what this game set up, but even if you just played this and didn't play 3, I think people would enjoy this game's story so goddamn much. And to have a game that you could really affect the next game the way you played this. So if you played Mass Effect, decisions that you made carry over into this game. But one slight disappointment I had was a lot of the decisions you make didn't bear a huge effect on this game. Like the big decision that you make at the end of the first game, which is to save a group of people or not save a very important group, it's politicians. To save a group of politicians or not save a group of politicians. I saved them, and they were only in one scene of this second game. So, like, 1 to 2 didn't really have a lot of carryover. But 2 to 3, you could affect so much going into 3, to the point that you have a character list, like your party is something like 12 characters. You could basically have up to 10 of them die and not show up in the third game, and that would all have consequences. Right? Like, the last mission of Mass Effect 2 is probably the best last mission of any game I've ever played. Knowing that 3 erase all the choices for you to choose your own ending, I think that's kind of a pitfall of most games that have, like, oh, your choices matter situation. I feel like every game that does that has that situation where it still leads up to one particular choice that's the same no matter what you do. Well, what Mass Effect 3 did was that the path that you took to get to that choice was completely different depending on what you did. That's the same thing. Deus Ex, despite all the things you could do, all the choices you could make, same problem. You were still stuck with the same. You have 3 paths to take at the end. The very least with Mass Effect 3, there was 3 paths at the end, but one of them you could only do if you did enough stuff in the game. So, they said Mass Effect 3 kind of ended the series on a bit of a low note, but this game here, I would highly recommend to anybody who loves story and dialogue and characters in a game. Right? This one is the one I would recommend. The rest of the game informed that decision, at least by presenting you with the theory behind those choices. Well, I said that's what I feel like with Mass Effect 2. Story, things that you did can greatly affect what happens later in the game or in Mass Effect 3. But yes, it does lead up to the same ending no matter what you do. Okay, we're going to move on because it looks like I'm going to end up doing this for the whole 2-hour stream. Which I don't mind. Like, I'll cut this down to a proper YouTube video. But I just wanted to do this because I just really wanted to do a video or just have a chat about the games that I love. So at least people can get like a sort of a picture of what it is that shaped my opinion of games throughout the years. Okay. Here's one, like just like Super Mario RPG, was something probably a lot of people wouldn't expect, given everything else on the list. I'd say that's how a lot of people would feel about what I'm about to put here. Yes, fuck EAware. Everything that's happened since like Mass Effect, or actually no, I think Dragon Age Inquisition was well received. I think everything since Dragon Age Inquisition, like 2014 and 2015, has been garbage. Ah, here we go. No, Dragon Age Inquisition, if I remember correctly. I thought Dragon Age Inquisition was actually really well received. I thought 3 was still a really well received game. So you can't say after Dragon Age 2 it sucked. I'm actually not minding Dragon Age 2. I'm playing it now. It's definitely not as good as Dragon Age, but I don't mind it. This is a nonsense choice? Riven is nonsense? Oh, well. Fuck me, I guess. Jay, let's face it. You and I, too young. We were too young to understand that last puzzle. We did it too young. We couldn't get it. No, we were too young. We couldn't do it. I've watched people play this game because this is a game I love watching people play from scratch. I have watched people play this game from scratch and get that puzzle. Myst is not as hard as Riven. I'm telling you that right now. Except for that, well, even, like, if you really think about it, that navigation puzzle, that rocket maze, is actually not difficult. If you understand what the noises mean, it's extremely easy. It's incredibly easy. You just did it anyway. Exactly. Always take the hard path. Yeah, that's a great life lesson. Never take the path of least resistance, folks. Work harder, not smarter. All right. So, Riven. So here's the thing. Myst is obviously a fantastic game. If any of you who watch this later don't know what Myst is, A, I pity you. B, go play Myst. There's like 7,000 versions of it on Steam. It just came out in VR. I think it's a bit broken in VR, but if you need to play that game. Myst was the game, like, when I credit Doom as the game that got me into just games, Myst was the game that got me so interested in how games are made. Like, I never looked at Doom and was like, man, how did they make this? Myst was the game that made me go, what the hell did they do to get this to happen? And watching documentaries and interviews about how Myst was made is the most fascinating thing I think I've ever listened to when it comes to game development. They even had to think about how they named their files so that they could go on the CD in a certain place so that it lagged less when you were playing the game. Like, it's crazy the detail they had to do in order to get that game to work. Yes, the CD had some great docs. Highly recommend playing Myst and watching those docs. The one thing that it made Riven tell everybody what a CD is now. Well, people still know what CDs are. Just games, like, you know those music CDs you still get if you go to, like, music stores in your local mall, if those still exist where you live. Music CDs? Games used to be on this thing. Before they were all downloadable. Happy Friday, Bitefire. We're just having a chat. Come on in. I'm just ranting right now. I'm not playing anything today. I'm just ranting. If you lost a CD, no more game. Don't lose your CDs. Just don't lose it. So anyway, in retrospect, like, as great as Myst was, playing Riven to me there was something about Riven that transcended Myst in my eyes. And I think it was technically the world building of Riven was better than what it was in Myst. Myst had, as great as Myst was, he says, yes. Myst was like a 9, Riven was a 10. Fight me. The downside of Myst was Myst had, and this is something even one of its creators, Robin Miller, admits, Myst had a lot of what you would call incidental puzzles. There was a joke that I watched one group of people play through Myst and Riven, and one of them, who was a game designer, said he likes to imagine. You actually have the Myst novels, great novels as well. If you haven't played Riven, go turn off my stream, go fucking play Riven. I think it's on Steam now, go play it. With Myst had a lot of what they call incidental puzzles, which are puzzles that are just there for the sake of being puzzles. So, like this guy that I was about to talk about, who was a game designer, he discussed, like, when he's playing a game that's like an adventure game, he thinks to himself, how garbage would it be to live in the world that's been created here? And to live and, you know, walk around in the worlds of Mist, as beautiful as they are, would be garbage. Like, hey, I want to go to this place. Let me make this tree grow up and down before I can get in and out. And or the how to open up the gear. Now, they can get around it a little bit in Mist because they're saying, like, these are vaults, essentially, to protect the books. So he didn't want to make them something that people could just walk right into, and therefore had to put some sort of, like, mental challenge to unlock them. But that's a bit of a cop-out, right? Hey, Not Sure, how's it going? We're just having a chat. I'm just talking about the 9 games that shaped me. Like, my 9 favorite games or most important games to me. It's apparently going to take up my entire streaming time. I was thinking about playing some Witcher 3 afterward, but I'm having too much fun doing this, so I'll probably play Witcher 3 tomorrow. But if you want to come in, take a look at the list and finish the list off with me. But anyway, so when you think of Mist, the Channelwood Age is the only age where I can say, like, even if this has been garbage to live in, at least all the puzzles in the world are built that way because that's the way the world is built. Essentially, the Channelwood Age would be that if you got dropped in a place with a bunch of machinery, you didn't know how to work, and there was no labels. Like, if I dropped labels around Channelwood about what stuff was, you'd be able to no problem navigate the world. Not Warcraft 3. But now you actually let me know what one of these 2 squares is going to be. Thank you. Riven, while it did still have a couple of what you might call incidental puzzles, Riven had such great world building, and 80% of the puzzles were just built into the world itself and had a reason to exist. The final puzzle of Riven, which I will agree was an absolute load of bullshit, that I feel I was just too young to understand it. I couldn't put the pieces together. And when I think back to how I played the game, I was actually on the right track, but I could never fit all the pieces in my head together because it was so complicated. But I absolutely loved the way that the world was put together. It was so amazing. It was so great looking. And when you look back on it now, even now, the graphics in that game stand up because it wasn't a walk around 3D world. It was point and click. So they had lighting effects that you didn't see in a game until years later because they were all technically static images. But like the lighting and the little QuickTime movies they used to play, you didn't see stuff like that in games for another like decade to look as good as it did in Riven. And walking, even as frustrating as Riven was to me because I was young and couldn't figure out the puzzles and the internet didn't exist, the world of Riven was so amazing to me. And even just walking around Riven just filled me with this sense of like foreboding but awe at the same time. Mist fills you with a sense of awe, but all of its like worlds are kind of like romantic architecture. It's like it was really just meant to look pretty. But Riven was meant to look used and broken in and damaged and bleak, right? Like it was, to me, it's what a sequel should be. Taking the original and what was great about it and building upon it. So I actually, to the argument of many people, feel Riven is a better game than Mist. And I know that now my brother's probably going to try and fight me next time I see him. But other than that last puzzle, I absolutely loved Riven. Now, Not Sure actually did touch on I think the next game. Warcraft 3 was actually not something I played when I was young. I know. I didn't play it when I was young. I have played it since, but I only played through it once, so it wasn't like... I know, not sure. You have to understand, I didn't have money. I didn't have money. So, we only got about 2 video games a year when we were younger, for Christmas and for my birthday. And if I didn't know Warcraft existed, I couldn't ask my father to get it for me. How'd I end up in WoW? If I remember correctly, and I could be misremembering because this was 15 years ago, my brother Jason started playing that game because he wanted to play with his friends. And through him, because my brother was the one that always kind of like knew what games were the popular ones, either through the internet or from Nintendo Power and stuff like that. He was the one that knew what popular games were out at the time. And WoW was obviously this game that many people were talking about. So he wanted to play it with his friends. So he started playing it. And of course, and then what actually happened was my little brother started playing it when he saw my older brother playing it. And Zach, my little brother, would talk about, after he played that game, he would talk about it so much. Like, he loved playing the game. He was hooked on it immediately. And I kind of, like, dragged my heels on playing it. But he just enjoyed it so much. And even when I said, fine, I'll give it a try, he sat next to me while I built my character. And he was like, alright, this is what a warrior is. This is what a rogue is. This is what a mage is. Here's why a rogue is good. Here's why a mage is good. This is why priests suck. You know, like, so... He'd only played the game for, like, 3 months, but he was apparently already a fucking expert. And I started playing it, and it was a mistake. It was a mistake to play it at the time that I played it, because I played it in the month of May, 3 weeks before my final exams in university that year. Yes, it was on your profile. We were all on your profile, and then you quit WoW, so I stole it. Ban me, Blizzard. I stole an account. Yes, but the important thing was I even took over payments on it, so... You didn't have to pay for it, so you can't even say anything about it. So yeah, so because my older brother played it, and then my little brother played it, I started playing it, and then eventually my little brother, who had... We were all playing on my brother's account. Then my father started playing it on that account, and then we just said, this isn't working. We have 3 people in one house trying to play one copy of a game, and that's it. And we all 3 got our own accounts in the end. And it was great, and I loved it. We loved playing together. But that's how I got into it, without playing Warcraft 3. Warcraft 3 was something I played because I played WoW. Alright, anyway, what was I doing? God, I want to find a... I gotta find a good... Okay, this one's pretty good. Alright, but... Whoops. Didn't mean to open that. I had that open in case we did actually play it. Alright, so this game... Not Warcraft 3, but in the same vein. Starcraft. Yeah. So, my history of this game was once again started by my older brother, who I'm guessing when he was at school... you were grade 6 or 7? I can't remember. You were 11 or 12 or something like that. And I guess you were talking to some guys at work, and you borrowed the CD from one of your friends to play this. Okay, so you were 12 and I was 11. That's what it was. I knew I was in elementary school when I played it. So my brother borrowed the CD in to play this. And kind of like when I first saw him play Myst, I had never seen anything like it before. I remember watching him play Myst. I'm like, but how do you die? Like, how do you fail at the game? And he couldn't even answer me. He was like, I actually don't know. And then in the future, I found out the only way you fail at the game is when you throw out the CD because you're so frustrated with it. You actually can't fail Myst. You can kind of get the bad ending, but you can't really fail at Myst. It was just so different and something I had never seen before. So then he brings home and plays Starcraft. And Starcraft is also something I have never seen before. I'm like, hang on, you gotta control each individual piece and make it do things and research stuff at these buildings, and what is this? Like, I had never seen an RTS before, because we were actually didn't play any of the Command and Conquer games. And even if we had played Command and Conquer, StarCraft is so much better and well put together that I think it kind of transcends Command and Conquer anyway. Or Dune 2, exactly. It's so much better than any of those games. And I played StarCraft, and I just couldn't get over, despite the fact that I had never played it before, or played a game like it before. Despite the fact that I had never played anything like it before, I got so hooked, even though I initially sucked at it, like I'm pretty sure most people did when they first played it. And I can go back and play this game now and just demolish it, right? Like, this game, as someone who played StarCraft 2 and did some competitive StarCraft 2, can go back and play StarCraft 1. And I don't even think I need to save in most cases. Like, unless I misclick some really bad, I can demolish StarCraft. But back then, where I had never played an RTS, the game felt so much more challenging. And I remember finishing the first episode, which was the Terran episode, and I was on fucking cloud 9 because I managed to beat mission 10 of episode 1. And looking back, I can tell you exactly why I sucked at it. The game really rewards turtling. I don't know if it rewarded turtling, but I found much better ways of doing it since, besides turtling. Yeah, it's so easy now. Like, I can go back and do it with my eyes closed. But it was just so much fun, so great. And this was the first game I actually started making custom maps for. Like, that's how much I loved this game when I was playing it. I was like, I actually want to try making custom maps for this. And I made 2 full episodes and a half episode. So, like, 25 missions I built. Besides a bunch of maps that I made beforehand that I couldn't get to work right because I didn't know what I was doing. But I eventually built, like, 2.5 episodes of just maps with my own storyline and everything. Simply because I just loved this game so much. As I was playing it. So not only was the game really fun, was something different, something that I still to this day love going back and playing every once in a while, because of how much fun it is. It was the first game that really made me go, can I make custom stuff? And can I make it well? The answer is probably wasn't good. Like, I can probably look back on that thing and look at those maps and go, this was garbage. But it was the first game that really let me, like, have those creative juices flow. And I absolutely loved it. I loved it. Alright, now here's the thing. What do I put here? I have a couple of ideas. Actually, let me let me put my two ideas here. Here, one second. Let me let me put them here separately. One second. Alright, so grabbing the first one now. Okay. Yeah, I think this is the other one I would probably put it up against. So let's just paste both of these in. Alright. So let's pull this back over. Okay. I would probably put it down between these two games. Mega Man X, Baldur's Gate 2. And so whichever one I don't put in that square ends up being an honorable mention. You're out? Why aren't you choosing between these two? Oh, this is a toughie. Now, Jay, I actually don't think you played 2, did you? I don't think you played it. I know you played Mega Man X. I don't think you played this, though. Dude. Tisk, tisk. Ooh. I almost don't want to put this... I almost don't want to put this here because there's already a BioWare game there. Yeah, I know you wanted to finish it without any party members. I thought you did, though. Or did you not manage to finish that playthrough? Well, actually, I can't even say that because I actually have 2 Blizzard games here already, so there's already a company that has 2 here. Yeah, now you can look at some dude who's played Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition and fucking soloed it in like 30 minutes or something. Yeah, not sure. This is a tough choice. It's a tough choice. You know what? I actually I think it's this one. I think it's this. Show my Steam. I actually don't think I have a lot on Steam that I would probably throw in that square. BioShock games were pretty good. Infinite was really good. Some of these I haven't played yet because, you know, Steam backlog and all that. I did really like Modern Warfare 2. And it was something that I played way too much with my young... 211.1 hours of Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer. 211 hours. I played the shit out of this with my little brother. But I don't know if I would say this game shaped me or one of my favorite games. Because it's really only because I was playing it with him. If I was just playing this online, I don't think I would nearly have had this many hours in it. Let's see here. Control was good, really good, but I don't think I would put it in the square. Dead Space was eh. There's Deus Ex, which I can't put on the square because the voice acting is so bad. Yeah, BioShock Infinite had the most messed up, like, one of the best endings in a game. I will say Control, though, had the best sequence in a game I've ever played. And I will die on that hill. The Ashtray Maze is the most fun sequence in a video game. And I will stand by that till the day I die. I have never felt like more of an action hero playing a game than the Ashtray Maze. Rest of the game would keep it for me in my top 9, I think. No, I haven't played Mafia yet. It's on my list. Doom. God, Doom 2016 was so good. Nope, I haven't played Disco Elysium yet. Somebody's playing it, though. You're playing it right now. Jay, stop playing this. Pay attention to my stream. There's not a lot of story on my list. What are you talking about? You got Dragon Age, the BioShock games. We got Duke Nukem Forever. That was a great story. Look, I even platinumed it. That was a great story. The Fear games were really good. Well, at least the first one was. Got some Final Fantasy games. Gone Home was really good, but of course I wouldn't throw that in the top 9. That was too short. Starcraft probably has the most story, but was really episode 1. Oh, you're talking about on my top 9. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about in my Steam. Oh, Half-Life 2 was story though, man. That was story. So shut up. And Mass Effect 2 was a lot of story. Fuck this game. I do need to play Outer Wilds. This is a hilarious game to play with your family if you want to hate each other afterward. My brother and I played this, and I gotta say that I spent a lot of time laughing the shit out of myself. You thought I brought us closer? The first time I knocked you off a bridge and it made that clunk sound and you fell in, I fell off the couch. I was laughing so hard. It's the funniest fucking thing. Ooh, Portal was really good though. Ooh. 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 Fuck this game. This game was really good, but I don't think it would be top 9. There's Myst. This is the real Myst version, but Myst. I got some Saint Rose games. Rust. Stanley Parable. Spec Ops. Ooh, Spec Ops. I don't think I can put this in my top 9 simply because as a game, it's intentionally mediocre. Fucking best story in a game, probably, but as a game, I don't think I can put that on my top 9. It's not fun. Like, it's not a fun game. Stardew Valley. Oh, I haven't looked at the hours in a while. 375 hours of Stardew Valley. That's a lot of hours. Still not as much as World of Warcraft. Over the span of 15 years, I'd spent at least a year of in-game time. This game didn't shape me, though. This is just something that I really enjoy playing with my wife. Like, as a game, if I wasn't constantly co-oping it with her, I don't think I'd play it nearly as much. How did this shape me? I had a lot of fun with it. But I just don't see it. Oh, it's buried too much. I do need to play this soon. I've heard a lot of good stuff about this game. This game is the definition of mediocre. This is literally what mediocre looks like. This game was pretty good. I like this. But no, I think I'm gonna go with this one. I think I gotta go with Baldur's Gate 2. Because, again, this went to show how much BioWare and, like, Black Isle were just so good at crafting RPGs. And the Mass Effect series, I think, was the pinnacle of their writing ability. But the stories they built in Baldur's Gate 2... And frankly, Baldur's Gate 1 was amazing. And Baldur's Gate 2 did kind of reduce the open worldness a little bit by giving you less places to explore. But the actual story and the way that your party members interact with each other, and I think it was one of the first games they built where you could romance other characters. Like, I think this was, and like, I replayed this game so many goddamn times because I just loved it so much. And I loved the way that the characters were incorporated into it, and it was a decent challenge. Of course, in modern, like, if I go back and play this now, I could probably demolish it. Because I know, like, I can look at this and go, okay, well, this is the best item combination, or this is the best way to use this spell, or blah, blah, blah. But when I played this originally, like, I think this was a perfect blend of challenge. A perfect blend of challenge and story writing. Well, this was a very, very good game. The reason why this is here, and I had a hard time with it, is because, again, when it came to the SNES, the Super Nintendo, I played this a lot. And the only reason why I didn't play this as much was because of how short it is by comparison. Right? Because if I say, I'm going to replay Mario RPG, especially with me who feels the need to, like, 100% the game or get very close to 100% the game, this takes hours. I can clear Mega Man X in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Maybe even less than that now. Like, this is the only game that back in the day I could even consider myself speedrunning. Because modern day speedrunning, I'd never be able to play this game now. Or to speedrun this game now, because people have it optimized so much. But I remember one time I finished the game in like an hour and 5 minutes. And the fastest time that I saw on YouTube was like 48 minutes at the time. Now it's something dumb. Like, it's like 35 minutes or something. And it's optimized as shit. Like, so I wouldn't be able to speedrun this now with any sort of success. But I got so good at this game because I memorized it so much. Because it was so fun. Because it was such a well-crafted Mega Man game. That I just played the shit out of it. But I think it's simply... My whole thing is, when we were young, my brothers and I, like I said, we got about 2 games a year. One for our birthday, one for Christmas. So, you know, we would obviously play each other's games as well if we were interested. But, I mean, that's still only, like, at best, 6 games a year. And that doesn't mean we're going to like each other's games as much, right? So we're looking on average 4 games a year. So you really had to stretch out those 4 games to fill up the amount of time it took before we could get another video game. So I know I definitely played Mega Man X so much because I was because I had to replay my games a lot in order to fill up that time. So I don't know if I bought this game now, I'd probably love it just as much, but I don't know if I would have replayed it nearly as much when I had other things I could be doing. Whereas when I look at these games that I have here, I'm getting follow botted so fucking much lately. What the hell is going on? But when I look at all of these games here that I have in my top 9, all of these are games that I have definitely said, I want to go back and replay these right now. Even though I have access to all these games on Steam and good old games and fucking can just go pirate them for God's sake. I'll always go back and replay Doom. I've played World of Warcraft for 15 years. I've loved going back and revisiting Amnesia. This was actually the first game I streamed back almost a year ago now. I streamed this on hardcore mode. First time I played hardcore mode. And I loved that experience of streaming. There was nobody in the stream sometimes, but I loved it. And I'll always take time to go back and replay Half-Life 2. This one's a bit harder because I don't have a SNES I don't own a SNES. But I do have that SNES Classic now, so I really feel like I want to go back and replay this. Especially seeing the Game Grumps play it now. I'm like, God, I remember how good this is. I want to play it again. I would replay this. Even though this is kind of, wasted because I've solved the game. And it's a puzzle game, so once you solve it, it's a little hard to go back and replay it. Always go back to replay Starcraft. Starcraft Remastered was perfect, which is why everyone thought Warcraft 3 Reforged was going to be good. And although I haven't played this recently, I would love to go back and play it. This one here, as much as I think I'd like to go back and play it, this would be low on my priority list. So yeah, I think this is it, guys. This is my 3x3 square. Is there anything you think shouldn't be on this list? Do you just disagree with the list? Or do you believe something else should be on the list? Before I call it a night, does anyone think the list should be edited in some way? I will take everybody's silence as a no. This is a perfect list. No, but do you look at any 9 of these games, and well, I know you, like, for example, Jay, you've never played like these two, but would you look at these listing games and go, this game is fucking gross. Why is this on your list? You've never played Baldur's Gate. Counter-Strike 1.6. So here's my problem with Counter-Strike. And it's actually not even a problem with Counter-Strike. It's a problem with me. I actually put this on Twitter recently about how there's pressure when you're a streamer and you really want to try and make it to play the most popular games that that people are streaming. And no matter how you swing it, the most popular games on Twitch are multiplayer games, right? And we're talking things like Call of Duty, PUBG, Fortnite, Apex, Valorant, COD, CSGO. So when you look at all those are all multiplayer games. And here's the problem. I'm not that competitive of a person. I like the challenge of, say, StarCraft 2. I like the challenge of trying to learn the game, try to figure out ways to get better at it. But I am never competitive enough to want to go through that grind of, I gotta get to Diamond, I gotta beat all these noobs, and I want to get to Diamond, or I want to get to Platinum. Let's be realistic. I want to get to Silver. I want to get to silver. I want to show all these bronze noobs how it's done. So because of that, games like CS:GO or CS 1.6, Team Fortress, all of them, which are just straight PvP, no story games, just I can't get into them. That's not even to say like they're bad games, because I mean like I played Modern Warfare 2 a ton, but again I was playing that with my brother. Very rarely did I play that game by myself. It was always something I loved playing with him. Oblivion or Skyrim instead of Baldur's Gate. So as an admission, I have never finished Skyrim. They have resold Skyrim 950 times, and I have never finished it. But here's the thing. The reason I never finished Skyrim, the reason I've never finished Skyrim is because of this game right here. This game right here took up way too much of my time. Have I unsubscribed from WoW? No. But I haven't even booted it up in 3 weeks. Which is probably the longest I've ever gone without loading up WoW once. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. Well, it's one of those things, it's like, well, first off, my subscription's on a 3-month thing, so I've already been charged for the next 2 months anyway. But I am pretty much done WoW right now. I don't know if I'll go back or not, but right now I'm done. But because this game took up so much of my time, the thought of tackling something like Skyrim, or even The Witcher 3, which is why I'm only playing it now, was just too daunting, because I said I'd never be able to play both. And that's what I actually posted on Twitter, and I believe, not sure you saw it, how I'm getting hooked on games like Dragon Age 2 again, because I finally have time to go back and look at my backlog. Even though I have less time to play games now, because I'm a father and I'm working full time and streaming, I still somehow have more time to play these other games than I did when I played WoW. So Skyrim, Witcher 3, and all these games are stuff that's on my list of games to play. Dragon Age 1, as much as it's a good game, I don't think I would put it in my top 9. Mass Effect 2 and Baldur's Gate 2 were more fun experiences to me. As great as I thought Dragon Age was. And Dragon Age 2 is not as good as Dragon Age. But I'll see how Inquisition is, because I actually own that now. So Jay, if you're still listening, you don't have to give me your 9x9, but what are some games that you said? I know you said Infinite would be there. Just toss me a couple of other games that would be in your 9. Actually, I'm gonna save this. Ocarina and Final Fantasy VI for Jay, and Starcraft. Yep. 6 was a great game. Ocarina was also a really good game. Doom, of course. Who's if you play Doom, who's not putting Doom in their 3x3? Screw those people. Not sure. You say Dota 2. Never played it. Not competitive enough. Diablo. Never played Diablo 2. I played Diablo 1. I played Diablo 3. I have not played Diablo 2. That was for a different reason, though. Diablo 2 was out at a time when, in my household, we had four people, four boys, three brothers and a dad, who wanted to game, and there was only one PC. So it was kind of not cool to play a game that you couldn't just get off at any given time, because we used to have an agreement. We would get to play like an hour and a half each before the next person got to play. Unless somebody went out with their friends, and none of us had friends. But so playing something like Diablo 2, which is, we were in that situation when Diablo 2 came out. So I felt it wasn't cool to play a game I couldn't just save and get off, so I just never played it. And then just never went back to it, because by the time I moved out, Diablo 2 was a game that didn't work very well on modern day computers. Like, Good Old Games, I think, finally released it in the state that it did, but... Final Fantasy 6, Starcraft, Doom, Myst, Deus Ex, Mafia, Diablo 2, Spec Ops, Infinite. That's too many. You've gone to 11 now. That's too many games. I should play Mafia. Maybe I'll stream Mafia someday, the original Mafia. Make more cells. But this is the trend. The trend is the 3x3. I can't make a YouTube video of 11 squares. I'm hopping on a bandwagon here so I can get more views on YouTube. Mega Man 2 was not an awesome game, but it just had an awesome soundtrack. Gameplay wasn't anything special. It just had a fantastic soundtrack. Make a second part. Oh my god. Okay. Maybe I will, actually. Because there are a lot of great games. Maybe I will. But that's for a different day. Because right now, I actually ended up not playing any Witcher. I spent 2 hours straight. And now I gotta try and cut this down to like a 30-minute video somehow. But I've been talking for 2 hours straight about these 9 games that I love. And it's great. I'm okay doing this. This was that. You can't say Star Citizen. It doesn't exist. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Star Citizen doesn't exist yet. Stop bringing up that game. But yeah, I've spent 2 hours talking about this stuff. Not a lot of people hopping in and out of my chat. I'm okay with that. I have a lot of fun talking about my favorite games. And I'm glad a couple of you were here to talk about it. So I'm going to cut the stream here for tonight. Because my voice is going to go. Because I haven't talked this much in the stream in a long time. I will be back tomorrow with some Witcher 3. Not sure. I know that's right up your alley. Oh, Bitefire, you are here. Hello. You finished the books in 2 weeks? Oh, God, reading is something I haven't done in a while either. I gotta get back into... Oh, there's so many things I need to do now that I don't play World of Warcraft. Anyway, so I'm gonna cut this down and try to put it on YouTube to hop on that meme train, so maybe I can get some extra views, you know? But either way, I'll cut the stream here for tonight. I'll play Witcher 3 tomorrow. But yeah, maybe I'll do a part 2 and talk about some other games later. Because, I mean, I could probably fill up another one of these 3x3s. But yeah, so thanks everybody for watching. Thanks Jay, thanks Bitefire, thanks Loser Corner, thanks Not Sure. I loved having you guys here. I just love talking about games. Talking about games is just awesome. But yeah, with that, I am taking off for the night. You all have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. I'm sorry, Jay. I'm sorry they just couldn't finish it. The video game world is a cutthroat business. What are you gonna do? Anyway. See you guys.